What is up, guys? It's Cal, and now a few days ago I posted an update. It was sort of an update on Shadowlands, and that video pretty much detailed things that came out about Shadowlands since BlizzCon that maybe some people didn't know about. And pretty much right after I posted that video, Blizzard started coming out with tons of new stuff with Shadowlands. In fact, I'm recording this on April 9th. I believe Alpha is coming out today. Hopefully I get an alpha invite. I was part of one of the first alpha invite waves for Battle for Azeroth. So hopefully I do get one of those. They have said in a blue post that alpha invites are going out to some streamers and also people that have been playing the game for a while. I have been playing the game since 2006 and have never canceled my subscription. So hopefully I get an alpha invite, because when that comes I'll be making tons of Shadowlands content of just every aspect. So if you want to see that, you can feel free to subscribe, or don't. It's up to you. Bookmark my channel. I don't care. I'll always be here. So anyways, one of the biggest things that they've come out and shown is the complete unpruning of all the classes, which I'm very excited about. Now, I've not thoroughly read through this. I've mainly just read through the hunter parts, because I main a hunter. And but they've done it for all classes, including demon hunters. They've done some things with Demon Hunters. Demon Hunters, of course, being the most recent class that has come out. But this blue post, I'm going to kind of skim through it a bit, because they kind of played into the RP aspect. Death Knights, former champions of the Lich King. Death Knights overwhelm their foes with brute force and dark. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But, you know, let's actually go to the too long didn't read version of this. This is the Wowhead. This is kind of a too long didn't read version of everything coming back. So let's go ahead and get started of what this has to offer, really. So reading this top here, many abilities previously removed or made in talents, the so-called unpruning process. So Death Knights, Death and Decay, Anti-Magic Zone. I really like that. That'll give Death Knights a bigger raid cooldown. Lichborn, which I'm really excited about, Raised Dead, and Chains of Ice are coming back to all Death Knights. So Death and Decay, obviously AoE thing. I think only Blood can do that right now, right? Something like that. Death Knight used to be my main alt. It was my main alt prior to BFA, but now my main alt's kind of my Druid. I'm waiting until Shadowlands comes out to level all my alts, because it'll be a lot quicker. But anyways, Death and Decay coming out to all Death Knights. Anti-Magic Zone, as I just said, will be a much nicer raid cooldown that Death Knights will have, because it is kind of annoying currently that the main raid cooldowns that classes have are just healers. It's just defensive cooldowns just come to healers mainly. Some tanks here and there, I think, but mainly just healers. Anyways, 2-minute cooldown reduces magic damage that the party takes by 60%. Now, Lichborn, I'm really excited about this. So this turns the Death Knight into undead. Now, back when all Death Knights had Lichborn, one thing that a lot of Death Knights would do was that they would make a macro that used Death Coil, because I think currently Death Coil is only for Unholy. They would use Death Coil and they would turn themselves Lichborn and then spam Death Coil on themselves. Because you can use Death Coil on your summoned minion and they'll heal them. Back then you could use Lichborn on yourself, spam Death Coil on yourself, and it would like heal you full easily. It would just use all of your runic power up. So I wonder if that'll be the case in Shadowlands. That would be pretty neat to see. But Raised Dead, all Death Knights will be able to have a minion now. So that's nice. And the Chains of Ice, all Death Knights will be able to get that. So that's really nice. Sacrificial Pact, you can sacrifice your demon and it will heal you and it will explode. Kind of reminds me of Corpse Explosion, except Corpse Explosion doesn't heal you. But that's kind of what Sacrificial Pact reminds me of. Blood, Death Knights, Blood Tap is returning as default ability. Consumes the essence around you, generating 1 rune, recharging time reduced by 2 seconds whenever Blood Shield charge is consumed. And then Rune Tap is now a default ability. It is no longer a talent for Blood Decays. Reduces all damage taken by 30% for 4 seconds. That will be really nifty to the already invincible Blood Decay rotation. They get Relish in Blood. Relish in Blood will significantly heal these bloody bruises for each active Bone Shield charge and grant 5 runic power when Death and Decay is cast while Crimson Scourge is active. Seems a lot to unfold there, but I'll take your word for it. Frost Death Knights. Frost Decays will again be able to change between one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons. So that is nice because in Legion, they were pretty much forced to the one-handed thing because that was our artifact weapons, 2 one-handed. And then once again, that's kind of the case in BFA, 2 one-handed weapons. Frost Worm's Fury is now default ability and no longer a talent. So this summon Frostworm, who breathes on all enemies within 40 yards, slowing them down. Hypothermic Presence is a talent. Hypothermic Presence halves the runic power cost of abilities for a moderate amount of time. Unholy Decays. All Unholy Decays can summon Gargoyle, no longer a talent. Army of the Dead now has Magus of the Dead baked into it, which was an Azurite trait. So this turned all of your Army Undead into mages that would cast Shadow Bolts and Frost Bolts. That's really nifty. I really like that, actually, having your Army of the Dead range like that. And then Army of the Damned is no longer a talent and will be with its effect baked into Deathquill and Epidemic. Deathquill reduces, oh, okay. So Deathquill and Epidemic will reduce the cooldown of Apocalypse and Army of the Dead. That's nice. I like that. And then Dreadblade now affects your minions as well as you. So it increases the shadow damage of your minion as well as you. So that's Death Knights. Some pretty good changes there. Having a lot of things come baseline now will obviously change things up. I really like that. So Demon Hunters. Fury is now the second door resource for both specs. Okay, let me see here. Okay. So basically Rage. Fury is not secondary resource for both specs, Havoc and Vengeance. Immolation Aura is now usable by both specs and no longer being a Havoc talent. So good. They obviously need more AoE that does mass amounts of damage. Fire damage, okay, cool. Generate 20 pain. Pain isn't a thing anymore. Havoc, Unending Hatred. Unending Hatred expands their Fury's maximum capacity. So they get have more Fury. Nice. Probably like 120, I would assume. Essence Break is a talent. Essence Break deals chaos damage and significantly increases the damage that both Chaos Strike and Blade Dance deal for a short duration. Vengeance. Fell Devastation is now a default spec or spell and no longer a talent. And Demonic is now a Vengeance talent as well, with the DH entering Metamorphosis after using Fell Devastation. So they always get to be a giant demon. That's nice. Bulk Extraction is a talent. Bulk Extraction immediately rips a soul fragment from up to 5 enemies around the Demon Hunter and consumes them. Oh yeah, those are the soul fragments that you can like run through and it'll heal you and whatever, like the little orbs. Anyways, Ruinous Bulwark for Vengeance. Ruinous Bulwark increases the healing of Fell Devastation and it converts overhealing into an absorption shield that lasts for a moderate amount of time. Moving on to Druids. So Ferocious Bite, Barkskin, Cyclone, that's really good. I like Cyclone coming back for all Druids. Stampeding Roar and Iron Fur is now usable by all specs. Ferocious Bite, obviously a feral thing. Barkskin, that's nice. It's coming to I think it was just, feral didn't have it before. Cyclone, once only a PvP talent, now coming to all Druids as more CC. Stampeding Roar, cool. And Iron Fur, which is just Guardian only, because we know Druids need more defensives. Heart of the Wild is returning as a talent for all specs. So you become further adept in Caster form and Bear form. Caster form, when using Regrowth on an ally, okay, Bear, okay. Yep. So this was a thing. It's now returning as a talent for all specs. Affinity talents are receiving extra utility. Hold on a second. So Balance Affinity is now getting Typhoon. Feral Affinity is now getting Maim. Guardian Affinity is now getting Incapacitating Roar. And Resto Affinity is now getting Ursol's Vortex. Cool. I actually really like that. So for balance, Wrath and Starfire are returning, granting lunar and solar eclipses for a longer duration. Okay, cool. Starfall is returning to its Warlords of Draenor version. Whenever I just see Warlords of Draenor, I just cringe. I'm sorry, I do. It's best to not bring anything to the Warlord's Draenor version, but it now extends the duration of Moonfire and Sunfire, and it's once again cast around the Druid. How it was before is you could cast it in like a big circle, like an AoE area. Cool. Guardian. Renewal is now Guardian talent as well, because Guardian needs more heals and defensives, especially something that heals them by 30% of their health. Berserk reduces the cooldown of Mangle, Thrash, Growl, and Frenzy regeneration substantially, while also having the cost of Iron Fur. Okay, Resto. Swift Mend is returning to its original effect of consuming a heal over time effect on targets to heal them. Nature Swiftness is returning. That's actually really nice. Nature Swiftness was like vital for Resto, granting an instant cast on Regrowth, Rebirth, or Entangling Roots. And Nourish is now a normal talent, whereas it's a PvP talent. Okay, Nourish is now a normal talent. For Feral, when Feral Druid to Shred, Rake, and Ferocious Bite in quick succession, the damage of their next rip will increase dramatically. That is Blood Talons. That's cool. Okay, Hunters. This is what I'm excited for. So all Hunter specs are receiving Arcane Shot, which is Marksman only currently, Eyes of the Beast, which is nothing currently, Hunter's Mark, Marksman only currently, Kill Shot, which was taken out a while ago, Scare Beast, oh I can't wait till I get Scare Beast back, that'll be so amazing, Tranquilizing Shot, which is nice as well, because currently we can tranquilize things, but only with certain pets, so like Spirit Beasts can, and there's I think like Bats can as well, or something like that, and Stable will have a significant increase, which is awesome as well. Because what's our current? Is it 60? I think our current cap is 60, or is it 80? I forget. But hopefully that goes up to 100, something like that. Anyways, let's look at for the baseline abilities. I will really enjoy having Hunter's Mark back, because currently it's a Marksman talent. Kill Shot will give us an Execute. That will be amazing. Scare Beast. The reason I like Scare Beast so much is because I like to fear druids, because you can do that with Scare Beast. I really have no problem like facing druids in PvP, except guardian druids. Guardian druids are annoying, but being able to fear them will be nice. So for Beast Mastery, Bloodshed is a talent. It's a new talent, right? Beastmaster hunters teach their companion to tear into their target. The unfortunate quarry will bleed significantly, causing them to take more damage from their pet. So it's a dot. Seems like another DPS window, where we use all of our DPS in like a 20-second window. Scent of Blood talent. So this is currently a talent, but it's reworked. This passive now activates when Bestial Wrath is used, granting 2 charges of Barb Shot to bloody a target and empower their bonded beast to take down threats quickly. Cool. Because currently no one uses the Scent of Blood talent. It's on the same row as it's on the second row. What else is there? That's where Wild is, or Call of the Wild, whatever the one is, and Chimera Shot. Yeah, that row. People either use the Call of the Wild or Chimera Shot. I personally use Chimera Shot. A lot of people use the Call of the Wild, but no one ever uses Scent of Blood. So it's good that they're reworking that. Venomous Bite is reworked, so it's moved to Spitting Cobra's place in the talent tree. No one ever used Spitting Cobra, so it's nice that that's getting reworked. When Bestial Wrath ends, a Cobra will come to aid the hunter in combat. The Serpent's power will increase based on how many times they use Cobra Shot during Bestial Wrath. Interesting. So the idea is if you pick this, use Bestial Wrath and spam Cobra Shot as much as possible. That's what I'm gaining from that. Interesting. Marksman, Deadeye talent, lets the hunter store 2 charges to Kill Shot. It also makes aim shot recharge faster for a short time whenever Kill Shot is used. Binding Shackles, passive talent, causes enemies rooted by their baseline binding shot to deal less damage to the hunter for a short time after being released from the root. So they just have to throw that in there. Binding Shot is going to be baseline for Marksman Hunters, which I think makes sense because ever since Binding Shot was nerfed after Warlords of Draenor, this is one of those cases where it would be nice to have it go back to its Warlords of Draenor state, because Binding Shot was much better back then when it was an AoE stun, because obviously AoE stuns are better than AoE roots. But this kind of buffs Binding Shot a bit, which is nice because, I don't know, it was kind of a useless talent I mean, it was on the same talent as, it was on the same talent row as Post Haste, and that other one that no one ever used. Everyone always used Post Haste. Post Haste is just kind of the go-to on the talent row. And then Volley is coming back for Marksman Hunters as a talent. Enables the Marksman Hunter to rain down arrows on a targeted area. Okay, so it's the same Volley as before. It also empowers the Hunter with the Trick Shots buff, causing all their aim shots and rapid fire abilities to ricochet and hit up to 5 additional targets for half the damage for the entire duration of Volley. So that's interesting, because Volley, you know, that was a thing way back in, it was in vanilla. I mean, it had the same effect through, like, I think it was removed in Cataclysm or Mist. I think it may have been Mist, I forget. But then Volley ended up coming back as a marksman talent, but it was different than its original iteration. And in fact, I believe it was like this, like a ricocheted, like aim shot like a ricochet or something. So they've taken both iterations of Volley, morphed them into one, and that is the new Volley talent for Marksman Hunters. So that's good. Survival. So Survival pretty much has nothing new with it. Its damage is just getting increased. Damage increased to Hydra's Bite, Butchery, Steel Trap, Tip of the Sphere, and Flanking Strike, and Chakrams has reduction to focus cost. It's kind of boring, but it is what it is. The thing about Survival is I actually really like Survival. I really like what they did to Survival in Legion, how they made it a melee spec. I think it makes sense for the Hunter, it makes sense for the playstyle, and personally for me, Survival is kind of fun to play. It's pretty fun to play, because it has a lot of stuff going on with it. Like, I find Survival difficult to play if you're a newbie player. And I know what you might be thinking. Hunters, for the most part, are newbie players. I'll take that, you know, but there are some really good hunters out there, and it takes a really good hunter to be able to play Survival well. Survival is used a lot in PvP. It's not really used in PvE because of its low damage output. It has good sustain damage, which is why it's used a lot in PvP. I think for the most part, these will make sense, but like I said, it's not like they would do a whole lot new to Survival, because Survival pretty much was introduced in Legion. Like, it was completely reworked in Legion, so it's not like there would be a whole lot going on with it, with a new rework or anything. Anyways, let's move on to mages. Baseline. So mages are getting Arcane Explosion, Fire Blast, Frostbolt, Mirror Image, Fire Ward, and Frostboard as baseline. I think mages in Shadowlands is the prime example of Blizzard going back to there being 12 classes instead of there being 36 classes. Because that's pretty much what BFA did, is every spec was its own class. They were so different. Even hunters, and I'll say this because prior to Legion, hunters were very similar. Legion pretty much made hunters completely different in all their specs, and BFA just built onto that. And I think a mage is a prime example of like I just said, Blizzard going back to 12 classes instead of 36 classes, since all mages will be able to use these arcane, fire, and frost abilities. Alter Time is being reworked. When cast, this spell gives the mage the ability to return to their initial location with the same health and mana after casting it a second time or after a short duration. And a Focus Magic talent. Focus Magic grants an ally a slight bonus to their spell crit hit chance. In addition, when the ally critically hits with the spell, the Arcane Mage receives the same boon for a short period of time. It says Arcane Mage there, but I assume Focus Magic is going to be for all mages? Who knows? Anyways, moving down to Arcane. Clearcasting has an additional stack. Cool. Master Servant now extends to its damage increasing properties beyond Arcane Blast and Barrage to all spells. Touch of the Magni is baseline. That's very good for Arcane Mages. Enlightened. While the Arcane Mage's mana is above a certain threshold, it empowers all arcane damage dealt by a moderate amount. When below that threshold, it significantly increases mana regeneration. I actually really like that. I think that makes sense for Arcane Mages. Fire. So its mastery. Ignite is being reworked. Fire Blast now serves as the catalyst. When used against an enemy who is ignited, it spreads to up to 8 enemies close to your target. So more AoE, just what Fire Mages need. Blast Wave now does more damage and an increased slow duration. Kindling, combustion cooldown reduction increased. Pyroclasm, damage bonus to Pyroblast increase. It's cool. Frost Flurries, Winter's Chill. Winter's Chill is now a much longer debuff that causes Frost Mage's next 2 spells to treat the target as frozen. A debuff that increases the crit hit chance from the Frost Mages and their allies against the target. And then for monks, so we have not heard any unpruning on monks yet, so this is going to be nice. Because they with their original unpruning post, they said that they had nothing for monks, but there will be unpruning. So here we go. Baseline: Expel Harm, Fortifying Brew, Spinning Crane Kick, Touch of Death. All will be baseline for monks. Celestial is new. All 3 specializations will also be able to summon their Celestial to the battlefield with Invoke Zuin, the White Tiger, Invoke Niu Zhao, the Black Ox, and Invoke Yulon, the Jade Serpent. Previously talents. That's good. That makes sense. Making those baseline does definitely make sense because it just fits with the monk narrative. So for Brewmaster, can now choose between 1H and 2H weapons again. Okay, that's cool. Brewmaster Shuffle increases the amount of physical damage that's staggered when the monk uses one of its several abilities, including Blackout Kick, previously called Blackout Strike, Keg Smash, and Spinning Crane Kick. Then their Celestial Brew absorbs damage based on their Imbiter's attack power. That's interesting. Is that currently a thing? Absorbs damage based on the Imbiter's attack power. How would that work on bosses though? Exactly. The harder the hit, the more damage absorbed. I could only assume. Clash causes both the monk and their target to bull rush each other at the epicenter of the conflict, root their opponent for short duration. Wait, causes both the monk and their target to bull rush each other? So like so a Brewmaster monk can use Clash on a target, which will make him or her, Brewmaster monk, charge their target, and it will force their target to charge them. A clash occurs, and it roots their target. It's kind of like a death grip, I feel like, in a way, because it makes the opponent come to you. So, because, I mean, that makes a lot more sense in PvP combat, but like bosses, you can't death grip a boss to you. I assume it'll make you just like rush your boss target. Celestial Flames is a talent. Drinking Brews has a moderate chance to grant Celestial Flames, which significantly increases Breath of Fire's damage reduction and spreads its periodic damage effect to targets struck with a Spinning Crane Kick. It's cool. Exploding Keg talent immolates enemies on impact and blinding them for a brief period of time. Invoke Niu Zhao, the Black Ox, is now baseline. Yep, we know that. It's reworked. Niu Zhao also deals additional damage based on stagger damage purified. That's cool. Touch of Death will also instantly kill any creature with less health than the monk, and also clear remaining stagger damage. That's how Touch of Death was before, wasn't it? The first iteration of Touch of Death would instantly kill any creature that had less health than the monk. I mean, I like that Touch of Death seemed better than the current Touch of Death, I feel like. Mistweaver, invoke Yulon, not being baseline, we know that. Touch of Death now instantly kills any creature with less health. Okay. And will spawn healing spheres for their allies. That's cool. Invoke Chi-Ji, the Red Crane. Okay. So, yep, reworked. Talent strengthens the player's physical damage moderately and healing. Hold on a second. Strengthens the target's physical damage moderately and healing their allies for part of the damage inflicted on enemies. Chi-Ji also makes Mistweaver monks immune to movement and pairing abilities so they can constantly be on the move during combat. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like abilities that allow healers to damage bosses. If you know what I'm saying. I like it when healers are able to damage bosses and heal at the same time, which is why I like Disc Priests. Anyways, Windwalker can now choose between 1H and 2H weapons again. Invoke Zuin is now baseline. Touch of Death instantly kills a creature with less health than them. Spawn chi spheres that the Windwalker can consume to perform devastating blows. So that's cool that Touch of Death has these like different side affixes to it for each of the specs. And a Dance of Chi-Ji is a passive talent, has a moderate chance to make the next Spinning Crane Kick free to use and deal a significant amount of extra damage to all of its strikes. Those are some good changes. I really like this monk changes. Paladin. So I do really like the paladin changes. So baseline abilities: Blessing of Sacrifice, Hammer of Wrath, Sense Undead. What the heck? Sense Undead? Can paladins track undead? Oh, okay. I was just looking this up. Sense Undead was introduced all the way back in vanilla, but was removed in Cataclysm. Because I was like, I don't remember paladins, being able to track undead, but that's cool. It's coming back. Yeah, it was in the form of a Libram. After 1.2. 1.2, it became a Libram. But it's coming back, so why not? Holy Power is back to all specializations. So, I don't play a Pally that much, although I do actually. Pally is one of my favorite melee classes to play. But I've heard mixed things about Holy Power. A lot of people seem to hate it. A lot of people wanted Holy Power gone completely, it seems like. But now it's back for all specializations. But I think a lot of people like, because a lot of classes have, secondary resources. Like Death Knights have runes, that sort of thing. Paladins have Holy Power. Some people don't like the secondary resources. I think it's interesting. I think secondary resources adds more to the game. But anyways, Holy Power generic examples: Crusader Strike and Hammer Wrath. Spenders are Word of Glory and Shield of Righteous. So Word of Glory obviously heal, and that is baseline for all Pallies. Auras are returning. This is the thing I really like about Pallies. So Consecration, Crusader, Devotion Aura, all returning for Pallies. Same with Ret Aura. Ret Aura is reworked all paladins to avenge fallen allies with a short burst of avenging wrath. Oh, okay. So Retribution Aura, way back when, would like melee attackers would take holy damage, or it was something like that, and then it was reworked. It was removed in Mist, and then it was re-added in Legion, I'm pretty sure, and it was reworked so but it was like a passive, like it wasn't an aura, it was a passive. And it was like, anytime someone in your group would die, like the Pally would get buffed. And it was like, wow, okay game. I guess you're actually I guess Blizzard found out the actual definition of Retribution, and they're taking it seriously now. Now Retribution Aura is added, and it works how it was added in Legion. Anyways, Divine Purpose talent, now available to all specs. Holy Avenger talent, now available to all specs. Generates a huge burst of Holy Power in a short window. Seraphim talent, now available to all specs. Spend Holy Power to increase their secondary stats for a moderate amount of time. That's cool. Holy Power Glimmer of Light is now a level 50 talent row, level 100 row pre-squish. Okay. And Aura Mastery now affects the returning auras, not talents. Holy. Protection, Shining Light, critical hits with Judgment makes your next Word of Glory free. That's cool. Retribution, Wake of Ashes is now baseline. Makes sense. The thing that always struck me weird about Wake of Ashes, so Wake of Ashes was obviously added in Legion as an artifact talent, because everything in Legion was like a demon or an undead or something, and it like stunned demons because like everything was a demon, so it like kind of made sense. It was like the main thing, artifact traits for Legion Ret Pallies. And then it was like added as a talent in BFA. It did like a frontal cone and reduced like target's movement speed or something, but it still stunned demons and undead for 5 seconds. And it generated 5 holy power, but it still stunned demons and undead. And I always just found that like kind of weird to me that it like kept that as a talent, but now it's baseline. I assume it's going to do the same thing. Empyrean Power is now a talent. Crusader Strike has a chance to make your next Divine Storm cost no holy power and deal more damage. Cool. Priests. Okay, so all priest specs are receiving the following abilities. Baseline: Mind Blast, Mind Tooth, Power Infusion, Shadow Word Death, and Shadow Word Pain, all becoming baseline. Power Infusion is reworked. It can now be cast on allies. Hold on a second. Oh, sorry, I didn't know what Power Infusion did. So it increases the priest spellcasting by 25%, reduces either mana cost, or increases insanity generated by 20 seconds. So Power Infusion is going to be like an innervate that priests have. So priests can cast it on their healers. That's nice. Discipline. Light Caress is a talent. This enables disciplined priests to heal their allies by blessing them with power or barrier and healing them again if they're still under the barrier when it expires. Shadow Covenant talent reworked. This instantly heals a chosen hero and 4 other injured allies within the small area and moderately increases. Okay, so more AoE healing. That's nice for discipline. Mind Blast will provide a powerful burst of damage and atonement healing along with an absorption shield for significant mana cost. Holy Circle of Healing is baseline, so more heals. Prayer Circle talent. Prayer Circle empowers Circle of Healing, reducing the cast of Prayer of Healing moderately for a short period of time when it is cast. So more heals there. Shadow, Death, and Madness talent. Each time a target dies after being slain with Shadow or Death and Shadow Priest, the Shadow Priest gains a substantial amount of insanity over a few seconds. In addition, Shadow or Death resets, instantly ready to use on their next victim. So they'll be able to go insane a lot more. Or whatever that form, that like shadowy form that Shadow Priests have. Surrender to Madness talent, so it's reworked. Merging current Dark Ascension and Surrender to Madness, the Shadow Priest instantly gains a huge spike of insanity and casts a Void Eruption on the target. Over long duration, insanity generated abilities grant 100% more insanity, and you can cast your spell while moving. However, if the cast fails to slay their target during the buff window, they succumb to the shadows and die. I like it. I like it. Now for rogues, I also really do like some of the rogue changes that are coming. So baseline, all rogues are getting poison, because I believe assassination only is poison. So there's instant poison, which just instantly did damage. Crippling poison, I believe that's the one that slowed you, and then numbing poison was casting speed. Or did I get crippling and numbing mixed up? Anyways, poisons are coming back baseline for rogues. I thought that was so weird that they took that away from rogues. I don't know. That was them going back to the 36 class type of thing instead of having 12 classes. Shiv now allows a concentrated version of a poison to infect the target for a short duration. Pickpocket will frequently uncover new ingredients that can be mixed into their Crimson Vial, augmenting its power the next time the rogue drinks it. So that's really cool. Crimson Vial is rogues like 30% heal thing. You know, some classes have the 30% heal thing. Crimson Vial is the one for rogues, and I think that's really cool that they're incorporating pickpocket into that more, and that you'll be able to, like, I guess, buff yourself with some things that you get from pickpocketing mobs. Very cool change there. Assassination, Shiv. So Shiv has a bonus effect for assassination, which provides a moment of increased nature damage on the target, on the victim, mirroring the gameplay of Toxic Blades. Toxic Blade talent reduces Shiv's cooldown. Okay, so Toxic Blade is becoming a talent now. Its current iteration is being baked into Shiv. And yeah, poison. Stronger poisons apply to blades faster and always affects targets when attacking them from stealth. So assassination gets buffs to poisons. I guess that makes sense. Ambush, initial attack from stealth. Okay, so ambush was only available to outlaw. I was just looking it up. In Legion, they made ambush only available to outlaw. Now assassination gets it. It's cool. Blindside talent has a chance to access ambush while out of stealth with a higher chance on lower health. Because I remember ambush was always that ability that just did tons of damage. As soon as you came out of stealth, you used it to get out of stealth, and it just did a massive amount of damage. Toxic Blades, we just talked about that, reduces Shiv's cooldown. Outlaw, Roll the Bones, removed combo point requirement for a modifiable cooldown, which can be manipulated to line up their staggering finishing moves. Restless Blades, frantic combat will reduce the cooldown of Roll of the Bones by spending combo points. Kidney Shot returns to Outlaw's toolkit. Good. Now every rogue gets, like freaking 6 or 7 stuns. Between the eyes make their foes more susceptible to their critical strikes instead of stunning them. Evasion returns as Outlaw's defensive ability. That's nice. Riposte. No, it's Riposte. Is an upgradable talent option. Retractable Hook. Retractable Hook now also increases the speed of the rogue's grappling hook. That's nice. So Subtlety. Find weakness. Attacks from stealth and other abilities allow the rogue to bypass their target's armor, but also causes additional shadow damage when they are struck by an eviscerate. Shadow Vault. It's a new talent. New AoE finisher, which also Assaults targets with their Find Weakness for additional shadow damage. Dark Shadows, now passively part of Shadow Dance, but increases its cooldown. Rupture, dot bleed finishing move. So Subtlety gets Rupture. So for Shamans, new baseline. So they get Chain Heal baseline. It's interesting, but why not, I guess. Chain Lightning, Healing Stream Totem, Flame Tongue Weapon, Flame Shock, Frost Shock, Lightning Shield, and Searing Totem are all baseline. Chain Heal, that's kind of interesting to make that baseline, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to make a baseline, I guess. Healing Stream Totem. So I guess all Shamans will now have a sort of mini AoE raid defensive, or raid by cooldown. Kind of like how Death Knights, you know, get Anti-Magic Zone baseline. Shamans get Healing Stream Totem baseline. That's nice. Nothing wrong with that. I actually like that. Flame Tongue Totem. Yeah, okay, I like all that. Elemental. So the Maelstrom resource has been removed, making elemental cooldown management focused. No more Maelstrom. Going back to mana. Same thing with enhancement. No more Maelstrom. Going back to mana. Earth Shock built stack Fulmination to determine when to insert Earth Shocks into the rotation. Okay. And Earthquake enabled by Chain Lightning and stacks up Seismic Thunder. Echoing Shock talent has been redesigned. Blast a target for significant damage and makes the next healing or damage spell cast a second time shortly afterward for free. For enhancement, like we said, Maelstrom's getting removed, so there's be high point build around repeat cast of Stormstrike. Chain casting certain abilities will allow them to unleash devastating powerful cooldowns. So Maelstrom weapons, attacks have a chance to grant a stacking buff, which makes spells cast instant. And Mental Blast is a talent, grants a powerful range attack option, which benefits from Maelstrom weapon cast time reduction. Hailstorm talent has been redesigned. Use Storm Strike, resets cooldown of Flame Strike and Frost Shock. Searing Assault talent has been reimagined. A powerful fire attack strikes a foe for significant fire damage, while causing Searing Totems and Flame Shocks to deal damage much faster. Overcharge talent has been redesigned. Generates 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapons instantly, and another stack every second for a short duration. Stormkeeper talent has been redesigned and makes the next 2 Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightning cast instant with bonus damage. It now benefits from Maelstrom weapon, lowering Stormkeeper's cast time in order to chain powerful abilities. And then Resto, Earth Shield is now being baseline, no more talent, and Surge of Earth expends a few charges of Earth Shield to significantly increase heal and target several nearby allies. So there are definitely some good changes there with Shamans. And then with Warlocks, baseline abilities, Curse of Doom, Curse of Tongues, Curse of Recklessness, Curse of Weakness, and Demonic Circle. So curses are coming back for Warlocks. You can only put 1 curse on the time at a target. I forget what all these did. I know Curse of Doom did a large amount of damage over a certain amount of time. The only thing I remember Curse of Tongues is it made you talk funny when used in PvP combat. Curse of Recklessness did, was that spellcasting or was Curse of Weakness spellcasting? I don't remember, but Demonic Circle, also being baseline. I think it was a talent, right? Tongue-Tied talent. Empowers spells cast on a target with Curse of Tongues, causing them to seal the victim from receiving healing effects, forcing them to succumb to all incoming damage for a moderate amount of time. So you put Curse of Tongues on a target and they can't be healed. That's nifty. Affliction. Unstable Affliction. No longer stacks on the target, now lasts for longer, no longer consumes a soul shard. Malefic Rapture. Deal damage to all enemies afflicted by their periodic spells. Increased for each periodic effect on the target. And Sow the Seeds. Talent now embeds 2 additional seeds of corruption. And then Demonology, Dark Pact talent, now scales with spell power instead of converting a demon's health into a shield for the Warlock, and the Dark Fury is a talent. Now also increases the effect of Shadow Fury in addition to reducing the cooldown of Shadow Fury. So a buff to that AoE stun. That Warlock's good. Demonology only though. And then Destruction gets 1 thing, it's a talent, and now generates 2 soul shards. Fire and Brimstone, which is a talent, for each additional enemy struck by the Warlock's Incinerate. And now finally, Warriors. So baseline, they get Challenging Shout. Execute, that's nice, Execute. baseline for them. Hamstring, Ignore Pain, Intervene, Shield Block, Shield Slam, Slam, Spell Reflection, and Whirlwind. All will be baseline. Shattering Throw is also for all warrior specs. Now also deals devastating damage against foes protected by an absorption shield. That's right. It was removed in Legion, Shattering Throw. Now it's coming back. And best thing about Shattering Throw is it can dispel Pally Bubble. That's why everyone loved it, because it could dispel Pally Bubbles. Also same thing with Mage's Ice Block, and kind of similar to Massive Spell. So new baseline talents are Double Time and War Machine. Double Time, of course, gives charge a second cooldown, and I think reduces charges cooldown slightly by like 5 seconds or 3 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. And then War Machine, when you kill a target, your haste and movement speeds increase by 30%. So those are now baseline talents instead of being for Fury. Arms, Piercing Howl can now be used to slow enemies. Cleave talent has been redesigned. After striking 3 targets with Whirlwind, Cleave will strike all enemies in front to inflict the Mastery Deep Wounds bleed. That's nice. Deadly Calm talent has been redesigned. Completely removes the rage cost of your next 4 abilities and passively increases maximum rage by a moderate amount. And then Dreadnought talent has been redesigned. Now takes on the Seismic Wave Azerite trait, dealing damage to enemies in a line. When hitting 2 targets with sweeping strikes, it will create 2 seismic waves. See, I knew Azerite had a purpose. It was sort of a playing field to later bake those abilities into already existing abilities. For Fury, Fervor of Battle talent, Whirlwind also casts Slam on the primary targets and generates additional rage. Onslaught talent brutally attacks an enemy while in rage for a large amount of damage and generates some rage. Breaking Ball talent grants a moderate chance for the next Whirlwind to deal a devastating amount of damage. Then Fresh Meat's talent has been redesigned. Now causes Bloodthirst to always granting rage the first time Bloodthirst strikes a target. And then Frothing Berserk talent has been reimagined. Upon reaching 100 rage, gain haste. I think that means haste. And movement speed over a few seconds. And then for protection, Best Served Cold talent has been reimagined. Increases the damage of Revenge, boosting significantly whenever dodging or parrying removes Revenge's rage cost. Menace talent has been redesigned. Intimidating Shout causes all enemies to cower in fear for a substantial amount of time, knocking back all targets except the primary one. That's cool. I actually really like that. Indomitable has been redesigned. Passively increases maximum health by a moderate amount, and spending rage heals while the ability is active. And then finally, Never Surrender talent has been redesigned. Increases Ignore Pain depending on the amount of missing health. And there you have it, the complete unpruning plus some new things that are coming in Shadowlands. So this looks good. This all looks good. I thoroughly enjoy just about everything I saw here, because as we know, level cap will be going down to 60. As soon as Shadowlands comes out, we will all be going to level 50. If you're level 120, you're going down to level 50. So we will be getting a new ability like every level or every other level or so. It does seem good that they're going back to the 12 class system other than the 36 class system, because I just think it makes sense to essentially give classes baseline abilities that all specs share, but each spec buffs those abilities that makes sense for that spec, if that makes sense. Like for example, looking at Death Knights, obviously Unholy Death Knights have always been about summoning summoning their minion, buffing their minion, that sort of thing. Raised Dead, where is it? Raised Dead makes sense to make that baseline for all Death Knights. It's Death Knight after all. It plays into the fantasy, but buffing Raised Dead makes sense for Unholy DKs, which Army of the Damned kind of is with Army of the Dead, and also their Mastery, which is now going to affect their demons, or their minions. I don't know why I keep saying demons. That's Warlocks, not Death Knights. So yeah, I really like this. I can't wait to see what else comes in store. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like on it. Tell me what you're excited for in Shadowlands, what abilities you're excited for coming back. that are coming back, what you want to see coming back, everything coming back. You can write an entire paragraph in the comment section. I will read it. I don't care. For me, looking at the hunters, I like everything new that's coming with hunters. I do miss hunter aspects though. Like, I do miss the aspect bar, because to my understanding, I believe paladins are getting their aura bar back. You know, that extra bar that was like above there. I believe they're getting that back. I liked stances for warriors. I know warriors, you can agree or disagree with me there, but I think warriors should get like their stances back and their stance bar. Same thing with Death Knights, different presences, and they're having their presence bar. I do kind of wish they got aspects back, but at least we're getting CRBs back. That's the only thing that matters to me. Anyways, guys, feel free to leave a like on this video. If you liked it, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.